Punch it, Chewy, and welcome back to Mike's Driver Ministries right here on YouTube. I am your host that was baptized with the Holy Ghost in a little church in Cadillac, Michigan, in the year of our Lord, 1997, when I was just
Punch it, Chewy,
20
and
years
welcome
old.
back to Mike's Driver Ministries
Right here on
technically
YouTube.
22
I
years
am your
old.
host that was baptized with, and that was a long time ago. And I enjoyed the prayer meeting this morning. I needed that. I needed it for me. We needed it for each other, and it was fantastic. Um, Man, God is good, and it just cleanses your spirit out. A lot of stress going on. I love war. I don't like the idea of war where people are dying, but I love to study war. It absolutely blows my mind how insane the human race really is at finding more effective ways of killing one another. And it's really sad. But the thing is, that's just the reality of it. And we are at war. And by God, if we're going to be at war, we're going to win by the grace of Almighty God. The sword of the Lord and of Gideon. Amen. Amen. Angela, dear Heavenly Father, God, I ask you to touch her right now, Lord. Lord, give her strength, give her courage, and help her to stand up, Lord, in the difficult times and call upon your name. God, touch everybody here tonight. And for the complete strangers that will find this channel, Lord, help us to be a witness to them of your grace and your mercy, no matter how we feel. It's not about us. It's about you, Jesus. And I thank you for this people. I was not expecting them to be here, because I rescheduled it a couple times and just did it again. But I'm like, let's go live. So, Lord, I ask you, God, to be with us tonight as we go through the news and all that, God, and just give me the strength in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And touch Sister Angela. Help her, God. In Jesus' name. All righty, everybody. Let's start taking a look at the news and see what we got going. I have been half dead to the world, fighting cramps. I almost feel like a woman. That's a joke. I'm so glad I'm not female. I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it if God would have made me a woman. I would have been in a world of hurt. I'd have made a terrible woman. But thank God for women. Thank God for my mother, a woman that loved the Lord, that raised me in my teenage years. And I'm just glad I wasn't a pain in the neck for her, because she walked to work, and then she had to learn how to drive at 50 years old because my dad was always around. And yeah, I got to get a new toilet. I think I done burned a hole in the bottom of my toilet from the acid. But anyway, to the news. I'm like so far behind. We're here for a while. If I do walk away, I either went and fell in the toilet again, or I had to run up and grab Jenna at work because she's working overtime tonight, apparently. So anyway, and here we are with our first video coming right at you here on Mike's Driver Ministries. Punch it, Chewy. Rawr.
Well, President Trump says other nations, in conjunction with the U.S., will now send warships to the Strait of Hormuz to keep oil flowing.
As it should be.
This after new video shared overnight shows U.S. forces executing a large-scale strike on Karg Island, a critical export hub for Iran's oil. Our chief international correspondent, Steve Harrigan, is live on the Armenia-Iran border with much more on this conflict.
Armenia?
Hi, Steve.
Aisha, that key oil hub for Iran, Karg Island, just 16 miles off the coast of Iran, was pounded by U.S. warships yesterday and by planes. Several hours of poundings. President Trump emphasizing that the targets hit overnight were strictly military. But the president also cautioned that if Iran doesn't play ball, those targets could expand incrementally over time. The president posting many countries, especially those who are affected by Iran's attempted
Wouldn't that be fantastic? If the cardboard man, Ayatollah Insani's son, could settle this by playing a game of wiffle ball or even baseball or basketball against President Trump. That'd be interesting.
Closure of the Hormuz Strait will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. Of course, Iran depends on that island for about 90% of its oil exports. That's the money that keeps the war machine going in Iran, also keeps the government afloat as well. And finally, the United States also announcing more than 2,000 Marines will be deployed in this region. They'll be coming from the Pacific. Exactly where they will be deployed, what their mission is, not made public yet. Aisha, back to you.
Okay, Steve Harrigan live for us. Steve, thank you very much. For more, let's bring in former Defense Secretary Mark Esper. Secretary, great to have you on this program. I want to get to that breaking news right off the top here. The president announcing on Truth Social that many countries, especially those who are affected by Iran's attempted closure of the Hormuz Strait, will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. Your reaction to that,
paper
sir?
Only.
Yeah, good morning. First of all, look, I think it's a great move. I think the more we can internationalize this issue, the better.
Hey, welcome in, Warren Miller.
To say, many countries, more so than the United States, in fact, and specifically Asia, are affected by the cutoff of oil coming out of the Strait of Hormuz than the United States is.
I'm still pretty weak, though.
And secondly, many other countries, of course, are impacted by it beyond just us. So I think the more we can internationalize it is very helpful. It also adds diplomatic heft to what we're doing and legitimacy to what we're doing with regard to keeping the strait open. And thirdly, it puts more capability into the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, we certainly have the most capable Navy in the world, but there's a limit to how many destroyers we can put into the strait at one time. And adding destroyers, escorts from other countries would be very helpful going forward. So I think all around, it's a great move.
When you couple that with what just happened overnight on Karg Island, which is where Iran processes
Prism.
most of its
Oh, it's
crude
so
oil,
good to see Sister Prism 63. It's been a while.
When you couple that,
you've been busy though.
There,
she travels a lot.
We
and
are
I think it's
making
awesome.
major advances.
She's been a part of my channel for months and months and months.
Endurance. I find that very interesting. Do these things now change your calculus on that?
Gas went down in Lake City today.
Well, that headline, if you will, was a little bit misleading.
Yeah, Josh, I'm hear that, man. The prices will go down eventually, though.
Between two countries, and at this point in time, it seems to me as if the Iranians have become more emboldened. Right now that they've survived the brunt of our attacks and strikes, they've had a successful transition. There seems to be little fracturing within the government, within institutions, and now they're making claims, demands on what a post-conflict would look like. They're talking about reparations. They're talking about the United States leaving the region. And meanwhile, we are talking more and more about the price of oil and what it means for the November elections. And look, we all know, too, that writ large, democracies are more subject to public opinion than autocracies are. And this is a brutal autocracy. So my concern has always been in the contest of wills, particularly when you start out in a situation where, you know, a majority of the American people are not behind this yet, that they may have the ability to hold out longer than we can to achieve their war aims. And of course, the fact is, if they lose, the regime could well fall. So I think because of those dynamics right now, that's the case. And this move on Karg Island sends a signal, at least one thing, that we're willing to strike Karg Island. Secondly, though, it may be a softening up of the target so that we try and seize it with ground forces.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. There are reports that the Trump administration is weighing whether or not to send in ground troops, at least a small contingency.
It's going to have to happen. I don't see how we get out of
sites
that.
We haven't been able
the nuclear
to
sites
perhaps
secured.
get through just dropping bombs. What do you think about that? Do you think that's smart to send in, special forces?
Well, it depends on the purpose that you're trying to achieve, of course, the end state. I think obviously would be less complicated and less dangerous.
We had a great prayer meeting this morning, Prism.
Of Iran, and
it was wonderful.
Nuclear material or secure a site like Isfahan
to God be
or
the
Fordow.
glory.
Karg Island is way up in the north of the strait, so far away removed from the actual bend in the Strait of Hormuz itself. But that said, it's only 100, 120 miles from Kuwait, Bahrain, places like that, easily reachable by helicopter. You could seize it, occupy it, and that way you could control the throttle by which the Iranian economy thrives through the distribution of oil, and that would put our grip around their neck in terms of their economy and the economy's ability to prop up their war efforts. So it could very well be a good move. It won't be without risk and danger, but it's certainly doable.
Mac Attack, how you doing?
Of course, than putting troops into the middle of Iran.
If I'm correct, I believe that you suggested that the U.S. at some point needs to restart dialogue with Iran, that potentially that is the way to end this conflict. Here's Iran's UN ambassador on why.
Let me interdict something really quick here. Just give me a second. Now, we'll get right back to it. Okay, so over the last couple days, I've been watching reports on the Dome of the Rock. Missiles have been flying over those jokers, or that joker, because it's only one building, one area there on the top of the Temple Mount. Whatever country hits that, let's just say Israel hits it on accident, it blows up. Let's just say Palestine hits it and it blows up. Well, it's either going to have to be blown up or built around it. Solomon's third temple has to go right there. And it even talks about it, and we're going to talk about it this week on my channel, that it has to happen, because that's where the abomination of desolation occurs, spoken of by the prophet Daniel, where literally the Jews, they're going to start butchering animals again. Oh, I can't wait to hear the animal rights activist, if the church is still here. At least part of it, I think, will be here. But they're going to be crying, well, wasn't Jesus the final sacrifice? And I'm going to be like, yeah. Well, why are they sacrificing animals again? Well, the Antichrist will stand up in a rebuilt Jewish temple, claiming to be God, and forces Israel to stop the sacrifice. They're going to rent their clothes. They're going to scream, blasphemy! And that's part of the 7-year tribulation. And I think we're really close to the start of that. If the Dome of the Rock is destroyed, I don't see why we wouldn't be in Bible prophecy at that point. We would absolutely be, at least in my opinion. There's no way around it.
Enriching their uranium. Listen here.
Iran's decision to increase the level of enrichment was taken solely in response to the violation of commitment by the United States and European countries.
I think the question has always been with Iran, Secretary Esper, how do we trust them? How do we trust that whatever agreement we come to with them, that they will honor that they will stop enriching?
No, we never trust them. That's why I supported the President Trump getting out of the JCPOA in 2018, 2017. Yep. So, look, I'm in favor of regime change, but it doesn't look at this point in time that the Iranian people are ready to rise up and overturn the regime. And of course, it's very hard to do externally. You need to put a lot of ground troops on the ground. And so my view was, at this point, the Pentagon is making a lot of headway in terms of the core objectives of the military, and that is destroying the drone and ballistic missile capabilities and production, destroying the Navy, degrading the nuclear.
Well, what'll happen, Jake?
To the negotiations was to say this could be a win for President Trump if, at the end of the day, we not just accomplish the military objectives, but we compel Iran to allow
Makes. It's good to see you, buddy.
Back in on the ground,
16 years old last week.
All the sites,
I remember those days.
And we demand that they overturn or turn over the 900 pounds of enriched uranium that could make, we think, somewhere to 10 to 12 atomic bombs. That gets turned over to an international, some country or whatever the case may be. But to me, that's a win, because that's presumably why we started this 14 days ago, because Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff said they weren't being serious at the negotiation table. So, look, you can't trust the Iranians. It's time for this 47-year-old terrorist regime to end.
Hello, Corey.
If we can't get there now, then we definitely got to make sure that we have some higher degree of confidence through inspectors on the ground that they are not rebuilding their nuclear capabilities and aspirations.
All right. Well, a lot of moving parts on this Saturday morning.
Good to see you again.
News. Secretary Esper, we are so grateful for you joining us and giving us your
insight. All right, now we're up for the video.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here.
Mike Schreiber.
Subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.
All right, here comes the next video right here. We're gonna remove.
Let's bring in former senior advisor to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Justin Fulcher. Justin.
Let's see this one. Nope. Decloak it. No, I don't want to do that one yet. That guy's kind of, he's kind of, he's got good information, but he's kind of like, here we go. The intelligent Very smart and beautiful, Kayleigh McEnany.
Nuclear program until President Trump called in the military to obliterate it. Today, where we are seeing absolute strength of the U.S. military on full display. You're looking at that. Let's bring in Republican Congressman Chip Roy of Texas. Congressman Roy, decidedly different approaches. Cash transfers to terrorists versus
That sounds like
action.
Obama, the
Which
Messiah,
Barack
Hussein Obama.
Well, good morning, Kayleigh. I mean, first of all, we want to be praying for all of the service members who are in harm's way, who are putting their lives
Amen.
on the line. And it's so critically important what this president is doing to fundamentally change the landscape, the geopolitical landscape across the world. And I don't think people understand how significant what we are seeing actually is. You just walked through the failed policies.
Did you really,
Obama,
Vendetta?
And then again under Biden.
Vendetta, I'm making you a moderator if you're okay with that.
And give them cash and assume that somehow they're going to
You've been part of this channel for a long
do
time.
The right thing. And by the way, a lot of that money was coming from unfrozen assets, right? I think $6 billion unfrozen assets out of North Korea, $10 billion in unfrozen assets with respect to Iraq. And so this was a failed regime, failed policy. And now you've got President Trump, who is taking on very specifically with kinetic action.
Lambert, how you doing, buddy?
Frankly, resetting the landscape.
That's a good idea.
Undermining China, undermining
Russia. I heard that. That's
so
really good. Thank you. Remind me about that later.
Iran. Let's add to that Maduro and what the president did there. Meanwhile, we have strength in the United States with our ability to produce oil here. And he's sending a very clear signal to the world that it's a new era. It's a new time. That is going to give and breathe life into the people of Iran who want to see reforms. But I think the president is wisely not saying we need to go in and do regime change. He's trying to change the political pressures to force change in Iran. That's the right approach, in my opinion.
Congressman Roy, there's a talking point clearly went out to all of the left. That includes the media. And it's what's the objective? What's the objective? They keep asking over and over. I want to play the objective as articulated by 3 Democratic presidents. Roll the tape.
The United States, and I believe all the Western nations, have an overriding interest in containing the threat posed by Iran.
I have stated that Iran will never be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon.
We will not allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon.
I mean, you're a member of Congress. Are you unclear about the objective?
Well, not at all. And look, to be clear, the efforts that were undertaken last year with the bunker buster and going out and taking out their ability to produce nuclear weapons was a massive step forward and successful. But they still had capability. They still had the ability to pursue enriched uranium. And there's issues with us being able to go get that and track that down. And right now what we're doing is engaging in the right action to take out their conventional arsenal, to go pursue and take out their nuclear capability, make sure they cannot deploy any nuclear weapons, not just against Israel, but undermining the entire Middle East. As we've seen in this conflict, they've been attacking our allies and friends that are in the Middle East. And that is something that we've seen from this theocratic regime for 5 decades. They've been destabilizing the globe. They've had a stranglehold on oil and gas. They've threatened the Straits of Hormuz for decades. And now you've got the president saying no more, right? I mean, by the actions taken yesterday, we're going to reclaim and we're going to control the flow of tankers through the Straits. We're going to make sure we reset the markets around the globe. We want to open up markets.
Patty
so
Jenkins
the
in the house.
And America
Good to see
will
you.
be the big benefactor of it. It's an American
and I would like to do the same to you right here. Make you a moderator. You don't have to kick people out if you don't want to. If anything, it's recognizing how important you are to my channel.
Throughout the region,
the rest of us.
and dealing with the Taiwan concerns. By going after Maduro, we're reestablishing our footprint in the Western Hemisphere. All of this is to the benefit of the American people and our national security.
Congressman Chip Roy, thank you for joining us.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox
We
News
sure
latest
will.
on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox
Let's
1.
go with the next video. And here it is. Punch it, Chewy. Rawr.
DHS is more than just immigration enforcement. The most basic task of a member of Congress is to keep the lights on and pay the bills. And if we can't even do that in Congress, then Americans justifiably should be very upset.
Facts. Yeah, we need this to get going again. Democrats, stop stopping stuff.
50,000 TSA workers will miss their first paycheck.
You're welcome, Patty
already
Jenkins.
waiting hours to get
I've
through
always had
security at
respect
airports
for you.
across the nation.
You're a good.
But
You
could
seem
it
to
get
have a
worse?
good heart.
Johnny Jones is a TSA agent and currently the Secretary Treasurer for the Association of Federal Government Employees Council 100. He joins us now. Johnny, what is the situation now at airports? We've seen the lines, but this has to put a tremendous amount of strain on TSA workers like yourself across the country.
Yes, it definitely does. As you're going to work every day, and then when you get off work, you're wondering if you're going to need to work another job, or how you're going to be able to take your kids to daycare, or you're going to need to decide, do you have enough money to pay your bills? As most people are aware, the TSA officers across the country are not going to receive a paycheck this weekend.
And Johnny, so many of the agents like yourself are going to still work without a paycheck, although some of them, because of financial constraints, may not be able to make it to work. How significant is that? Talk me through what that is like.
Well, so first of all, the guys are having to make the decision on whether they're going to be able to come to work or not because of financial conditions. We've had 3 government shutdowns over the last 5 months. And most people have drained through their emergency funds. The majority of TSA officers live paycheck to paycheck. A lot of them still have loans or debts from the previous shutdown. And there is just a lot of questions on their mind, how long they're going to be able to last and how long the shutdown is going to go on too. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the workforce about, they have to start making decisions. Do they need to work a part-time job, or, they may not have money for daycare? And a lot of the letters they give you for, you're a federal worker and you're not going to be paid, to give to creditors, most of the time they just kind of laugh it off, and like they still charge you late fees, and it's a disaster for the TSA officers. So because the last time that they did not receive a pay and they didn't receive any additional compensation or anything, they ended up going deep into debt, and they're just not prepared to do that again.
And it's asking a tremendous amount. Obviously, I was just traveling yesterday through airports, and the TSA agents, it's more difficult. Talk me through just how hard it is to actually be at work, working without a paycheck, but then also the actual pressure on these airports and these lines puts on TSA agents to do their job.
Yeah, so first of all, we took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, just like every person. And
sleeper cells are a bad deal. So you're right.
When passengers are coming up, we have to focus on making sure that they're going to arrive at their destination safely. So we have to follow all the procedures. So we take our time, do our diligence, make sure that we follow the rules and procedures. And unfortunately, because there's not enough employees coming into work, sometimes the lines are going to get excessively long. And as a TSA officer, you always have to, don't worry about the lines, just make sure that people are going to arrive at their destination safely. And so you kind of walk yourself through that process of making sure that you follow everything to the T.
And talk to me just a little bit, do you have a message for the Democrat senators? Because the Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, have, with the exception of Senator John Fetterman, have all voted 4 times now in the past month to block the funding. Perhaps now that it's reached this level, you have a message for them.
Well, I have a message not just for them, but for everybody. We all took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and we, as the people, we are tired of looking at political parties that are serving their parties and not the people which elected and represents them in Congress and in the Senate. So we normally, I try to have to stay away from those kind of things, but I just want everybody to know that there are 50,000 hardworking frontline TSA officers that are going to work every single day that are not being paid, and we need to pay them. And that's what continuing resolutions are for. That is what other things are for, so people can buy that time to negotiate their differences out and not force people to come to work without being paid. And that's what's happened every other time.
Amen,
so I just don't
Jake.
understand why this is not happening now.
No, and
I see trolls as an opportunity.
The work that you and your fellow men and women at the TSA are doing,
but they're not going to come in here and disrupt the chat. Now that the channel, by the grace of God and great moderators, this channel is exploded.
Thank you very much for taking time, and good luck.
And I thank God for that first.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for listening to our message. It's so important to pay the TSA officers.
Yeah.
And these guys are dedicated and we serve the public. We love our jobs. Thank
Right
you.
on,
We
dude.
appreciate what
And
you-
we appreciate what you do. Let's see here. Okay, a little review on the attack in Michigan yesterday.
Welcome
And
back
this
to
is
Fox
today's
and
news
Friends.
from
the
yesterday.
FBI is investigating a targeted attack at a Michigan synagogue where a Lebanese national rammed his truck loaded with gasoline and fireworks into the building filled with children
What a
before
terrible
taking
thing.
his own life.
Brooke Taylor's live in West Bloomfield, Michigan, where the horrific attack took place with the latest on the ground. Good morning, Brooke.
Now, where you at?
Good morning, guys. Well, Michigan Governor Whitmer said if it were not for the quick actions of these heroic security guards who took action extremely quickly in this situation, this could have been another Sandy Hook. There were 140 children as young as 5 years old and younger that were inside of this temple at the Childhood Learning Center when the suspect plowed his truck through the entrance armed with a rifle and explosives. Miraculously, no students and staff were hurt. Now, the wannabe bomber, identified as 41-year-old Ayman Ghazali, a naturalized U.S. citizen born in Lebanon.
Watch this. He was buying
Officials
fireworks
say on
that
Thursday
day,
afternoon,
or on
he
Thursday.
rammed his truck through the synagogue,
Or Wednesday.
driving down the hall until his truck got jammed and armed security officers stopped him. He got into a gunfight with at least 2 of those security officers before officials say he shot and killed himself. Now, during that gunfight, his truck caught on fire and bursted into flames. Investigators say they found large quantities of commercial-grade fireworks and
They got the
gasoline
video of him buying
just
it,
2
too.
days before. Check this video out. This
crazy.
is him seen buying more than $2,000 worth of explosives at a Detroit area fireworks store.
So how would you like to be that woman, the cashier, right? You know, some dude walks up, you know, okay, that'll be, since we're in the state of Michigan, that's because I live in Michigan too, that's $2,000 with $120 in tax because it's 6% sales tax, but there is no tax on food. But wouldn't that freak you out knowing that you just waited on that guy 48 hours before? And look what he tried to do.
Officials say Ghazali's family members, including 2 brothers, were killed in an Israeli airstrike in Lebanon. Sources tell Fox the brothers were known members of Hezbollah. Meanwhile, Governor Whitmer called this attack clear anti-Semitism, hate, plain and simple, where Jewish babies were the target.
I'm surprised Whitmer, Gretchen Whitmer, said something
this
about
community
it,
yesterday,
like sticking up for the Jewish
get
community.
fomented by rhetoric that they see online and that they see on television and they hear on the radio. It radicalizes people and it endangers our fellow Michiganders. We cannot let this continue.
Meanwhile, there was another attack on a Jewish school in Amsterdam early this morning. An explosion damaged the school. No one was injured, thankfully, but the city's mayor calls this a clear, deliberate attack on the Jewish community yet again, guys.
Brooke Taylor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For more on this, let's bring in Saturday in America anchor Kayleigh McEnany. So great to see you this morning, Kayleigh.
Let me know when you're ready. I'll come get you.
You know, it is kind of amazing to think about all of these things going on at a time where you have Democrats refusing to fund the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, and to emphasize what that means, because I think the average viewer thinks, oh, that's just border operations. No, DHS oversees Coast Guard. We have Coast Guard deployed
Patty, I am
right now in
computer.
battle.
How far
They
is West
oversee
Bloomfield,
CISA,
Michigan
which is
from
our
Lake City,
nation's
Michigan?
Cybersecurity at a time when, yes, Iran wants to strike our cyber grid. They oversee TSA. TSA, as you go through the airport, we all remember 9/11. There are so many entities under DHS that are
I'm
instrumental
150
to
miles
Homeland
from
and national
that place.
security.
Yeah.
But Democrats are nowhere to be found unless
150
your name's
miles.
Senator John Fetterman.
Seems like it's longer than
A lot
that,
of
though.
people think TSA
Computer
is under
dismissed.
the Department of Transportation. I get a lot of those in my complaint box.
I bet you do.
It's not Department. It is Homeland Security, and it's such a great point. And, you know, I can't think of anything that would, you know, the president's trying to execute this war.
Oh, absolutely,
Everyone in
Prism.
the country wishes
Yeah,
success.
absolutely.
Whether they wanted
We
to go
we
in this
prayed our
war or not,
hearts out
once
this
we're
morning
in,
for
we
our
want success.
nation.
But nothing will plummet support for
To God
this
be the
war
glory.
than a domestic terrorist attack or continued. They've seen 4
Were
of
there
these.
vendetta?
Why
Wow.
would they not do this? It just, if you love your country, You want to make sure you're catching these people.
So
it's putting politics over safety. I mean, plain and simple.
So what happened was, what was that, day before yesterday, or was that yesterday? I don't know. Time goes by so quick nowadays. In West Bloomfield, Michigan, some psychopath takes his pickup truck and does like 80 into the front of the school, knocks the whole door section off of the school, the front door. He's driving his pickup truck, I kid you not, down the middle of the main hallway in a school, a Jewish temple, synagogue, where there were children. It was a school. And he's hanging out and being cool. At least he thinks he is. He's driving his pickup truck down the middle of a school hallway. He's got an explosive device of some sort in his car and a shotgun. Well, because cars can only take so much damage, and since things happen, he had to stop. And the guard of the school decided to take him out before he started harming 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, our children.
They created a mess. We've all covered it on this couch. 2 million gotaways. Who are these gotaways? The millions of people who poured across the southern border.
Yepers.
MS-13, Tren de Aragua. They are loose in our country. And yes, President Trump has done an extraordinary job removing these individuals, but there's still more work to be done. And we have a threat looming overseas that is now
8 years of J.D. Vance and 8 years of Marco Rubio ought to do it. 16 years of Republican.
Shut down on February 14th.
Yeah.
Since March 1st, you've had the attack in New York City, in Austin, Texas, in Michigan, and in Virginia. And yet you have people like Senator
You are
Elise
welcome, Parkside.
Slotkin,
Thank
who
you for being with
basically
us.
Votes against funding DHS after seeing 4 terror attacks in 4 states in the country, knowing the DHS is in an elevated threat environment, and then goes to Michigan
how you doing, bud?
with the governor and has this to say.
They have been, at work. Certainly in Michigan, we have a ton of DHS folks, CBP, and so they are on the call and they are doing their jobs. Certainly, we need to fund the Department of Homeland Security.
We are the Mike Trump Ministry Mod Squad.
All the conversation,
the MSM,
which is its own conversation from all the core missions of the Department of Homeland
I
Security.
trained some of them myself.
They're on the job. They're working today.
Well, then, Alyssa, you should have voted for funding it, but there's hypocrisy.
I learned on Professor Nez's channel 2 years ago.
Who did Democrats pick to give the response to his first joint address to Congress? The woman you just watched, who clearly does not have a moral center political compass. It flies with the wind until there's an attack on her district, and within 24 hours she reverses
And by
herself.
then, I'll be dead and gone, but hey, at least my grandkids and kids will be good.
And partnering with Republicans to denaturalize individuals who come to this country and commit atrocities. It's a no-brainer. We now have, 3-4 data points? Partner with Republicans and fix this.
So can that be done, this denaturalizing people who have committed attacks or have ties to terrorism or communism? That can be done through what? Through Congress?
Yes, it's called the Scam Act. There are 4 components if you commit welfare fraud. Remember Minnesota? Hey, let's denaturalize anyone who's here who committed welfare fraud or some sort of entitlement fraud. Or if you've committed a crime. It's simple. It's plain and simple. It should be the Save America Act and the Scam Act, and they should put them together.
Yeah, if they're going to come in here type in English so we can understand what you're saying. All right, get the Trump steam. Get that comment out of here.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest
some people's
interviews
children,
and
I don't
most
know.
compelling analysis.
All right, and now to our next video. All right, here we go. Punch it up on the big screen and...
where the NYPD has identified a suspicious device in a vehicle near Gracie Mansion. Officers have frozen the area around the vehicle and are conducting limited evacuation.
I showed that like 6 days ago. And so here, let's go with this one. Yeah, here we go.
On live now from Fox.
And I got more in the bullpen, and then we're going to do some Rush Limbaugh. We're going to do some Senator Kennedy.
My name is Josh Breslow.
We're going to get, who else did you guys want to hear?
Following as we take a live look there outside of the White House. This involves President Donald Trump. Taking a look here at some of the video as President Trump saying today that, quote, many countries, especially those who are affected by Iran's attempted closure of the Strait of Hormuz, will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. We know there's been a lot of discussion about the Strait of Hormuz, especially over the past several weeks, as of course, there's talks about oil and other commercial products. Now, I want to pop up a post from President Trump a bit earlier today on Truth Social as he made this announcement. He said, quote, "Many countries, especially those who are affected by Iran's attempted closure of the Hormuz Strait, will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. We have already destroyed 100% of Iran's military capability, but it's easy for them to send a drone or two,
626
drop a
watching
mine,
right
or
now. That's
deliver
pretty
a
good.
close-range missile somewhere along or in this waterway, no matter how badly defeated they are." He goes on to say in that Truth Social post, hopefully China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and others that are affected by this artificial constraint will send ships to the area so that the Hormuz
They should be
Strait
helping us.
will no
We're
longer
trying
be
to
a
help
threat
them
by
in
a
the end.
nation that has been totally decapitated. In the meantime, the United States will be bombing the hell out of the shoreline and continually shooting Iranian boats and ships out of the water. One way or the other, we will soon get the Hormuz Strait open, safe, and free. President Donald J. Trump. Again, he posted this on Truth Social a bit earlier, essentially saying that the U.S. and hopefully others will be sending those warships to the Strait of Hormuz as all of this does continue. What I want to do is talk a little bit more about the war itself that is still underway, as we have some video that I want to pop up on your screen coming in out of the U.S. Embassy in Iraq a bit earlier on today. Take a look there at your screen as that video shows the smoke rising from the U.S. Embassy in Iraq's capital of Baghdad after Iraqi officials say the compound was actually hit there by a missile. Now, at this point, hours later, the information is still fairly limited. It's not clear yet if there are any kind of injuries that have been reported, but those officials in Iraq say it appears the missile hit a helipad inside the compound and, of course,
I found that
causing the fire
interesting.
and the smoke that you're seeing right there on your screen. Now, the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad renewed its level 4 security warning just yesterday, cautioning that Iran could carry out attacks against U.S. citizens and infrastructure within Iraq. This comes just a couple days after 6 U.S. service members were killed in a crash of a refueling aircraft in Iraq. However, very important to note that the Pentagon says that crash was not an incident of hostile fire or friendly fire, and an investigation will be conducted. Again, we are following all of the latest developments right here on Live Now from Fox as we get them into our newsroom. We also have some video that's coming in. Want to pop this up on your screen via CENTCOM, that is, of course, U.S. Central Command, releasing video showing the, quote, large-scale precision strike on Iran's Karg Island. You see on your screen a lot of smoke and a lot of explosions. CENTCOM explaining that the strike destroyed naval mine storage facilities, missile storage bunkers, and several other military sites. The Pentagon adding that U.S. forces hit more than 90 Iranian military targets on Karg Island while preserving the infrastructure. President Trump saying he ordered that major strike, which was then carried out by the U.S. military. And we've also learned from a U.S. official speaking there with the Associated Press that about 2,500 more Marines and an amphibious assault ship are being sent over to the Middle East, adding to the military's largest buildup of warships.
While Israel continues its air campaign against Iran.
Decades. A lot of developments here on Live Now from Fox.
Mark Levin, I think it is. What's his name? Let's see. This one right here. And browser. Okay. And paste. Paste. And
While Israel continues its air campaign against Iran, new reports indicate it is preparing a massive ground invasion against the Iran-backed terror group Hezbollah in Lebanon. Chief correspondent Jonathan Hunt has the latest from here in London. Jonathan, what more can you tell us?
Good
Iran
evening, Brian. Israeli strikes have been pounding Hezbollah in Lebanon for almost 2 weeks now in the south of the country, from where Hezbollah has for years launched rocket attacks against Israel, and in Beirut, where the group has long had a stronghold in the city's southern suburbs and where many Hezbollah leaders are based. The group, of course, is closely tied to and funded by Iran, and thus has been a frequent target for Israel in a 2006 war, for instance, and in the years since the Hamas-led attacks of October 7th. An intricate and devastating Israeli operation, you'll remember, involving exploding pagers, targeted Hezbollah leaders in 2024, killing and maiming an estimated 1,500. And Israel now appears determined to finish the job of dismantling Hezbollah.
The problem is that the Lebanese government, they say the right things against Hezbollah, against Iran, but they don't apply sovereignty. They don't take control over southern Lebanon, and Hezbollah uses this area to launch rockets into Israeli communities. So we have no other choice.
I do not support Hezbollah.
Make sure that
do not support the Democrat
we will have to
Party.
Continue.
But crushing Hezbollah once and for all will not be easy, given the resilience they've shown in the face of previous attacks, and it might well require a full-scale ground invasion from Israel, something that President Trump would presumably be very cautious about giving a green light to, if Israel even sought that green light. Meantime, we're hearing from the reporting of Axios tonight, Brian, that the French government, which has long-standing ties to Lebanon, is proposing a deal that might end that particular war, and that deal would include the unprecedented move of Lebanon. I
think the new guy's dead. Brian? I think he's either dead or
Chief correspondent
incapacitated.
Jonathan Hunt following it all from London. Jonathan, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey,
I got a thought for you as I'm getting the new
page
video up. I got a thought for you.
Hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
What if they're saying that their leader is hurt, right? Didn't they say something he's injured or something? This is a long shot. But as I was laying there in agony today, because I ate too much garlic and too much onion yesterday, and now I'm paying the price. But I was sitting there thinking about the Lord while I was in pain, and I'm like, what if this guy, who's a cardboard cutout, what if they claim he had a deadly wound that was healed? I don't know. It was just a thought. There's a lot of rumors go on at a time like this. We're at war, and a lot of biblical questions want to be answered, and it's a wonderful time to start studying them. And we're going to start doing that on Monday. I think I'll teach first on the Temple Mount and all that. It's going to be fun. I love Bible prophecy, but it's mostly important that you got yourself right with God. That should be priority, not Bible prophecy. But while you're getting yourself right with God, you can study other things as well. It's a big Bible.
Appears to be digging deeper into its military arsenal to defend the Strait of Hormuz. One expert says the regime is now deploying suicide skiffs, remote-controlled boats packed with explosives that are disguised as fishing boats. There are also concerns that Iran could lay sea mines, posing a serious threat to any ships that try to pass. Here's President Trump on the next actions for the U.S. Navy.
I haven't seen him today. I did get a message from him, though. Yeah.
Very big hits, very powerful hits. Mr. President, when will the Navy start escorting tankers through the Straits of Hormuz? It'll happen soon.
Let's bring in retired U.S. Navy Captain Bob Wells. Thank you so much for being here. Let's start off with this threat in the Strait of Hormuz, and let's pull up this graphic showing sea mines. We now know that the Iranians, they have land missiles pointed towards the Strait of Hormuz, but they also have these sea mines, and now they have what's called, quote, suicide skiffs.
Hey, Angela, 333. How you doing? Yeah, we had a prayer meeting this morning.
Dealing with sea mines.
You guys can go back and watch that. I was live at 7 a.m. and it just got out of control.
Well, thank you, Brian, for having me on.
Which
I think
was
the
a
US
good
Navy,
thing.
as well as the Joint Force
and my voice
and
is
allied
gone.
partners will be looking at the
to God be the glory, not me.
total toolkit that Iran has deployed in the Strait of Hormuz. And I want to underscore, it's not just the Strait of Hormuz.
I didn't know he was
deployed,
missing in action
5 different times, last time in command of a cruiser. It takes about 3 hours to get through the Strait of Hormuz, but it's the most important to know. Obviously, the mining threat is there. You want to try to find the archer, if you will, before they actually lay the mines. I think CENTCOM has tried to do that with the attack on Karg Island in particular in the mine storage area. I think these unmanned fishing boats or unmanned skiffs are a new drone warfare capability that are very concerning. In fact, if you look at outside the Strait of Hormuz, along the coastal area, the western coastal area of Oman, the eastern coast of Oman, where the Marshall Island tanker got hit by the remotely controlled UAV. That's a new element with regard to the Iranian threat. Also inside the strait on the western side of Oman, right inside the Strait of Hormuz is where I operated during the tanker war, is also a vulnerability. So these smaller craft really are a bigger threat where they could not be detected.
Yeah, I just made you a moderator, by the way. I got over you 7. I was so glad you were with us in that prayer meeting this morning.
There's also an opportunity for us to improve the actual security regime throughout the entire Persian Gulf and not allow Iran, as they have for the last 40 plus years, to basically be a hegemon and dominate and impact the global markets as well as the peace in the Arabian Gulf littoral.
Bob, is it realistic to have the U.S. Navy escort tankers through that strait on a daily basis without help from the international community? I mean, how many ships is needed for something like that?
It would be ideal and less realistic. The Persian Gulf itself, as you know, Brian, it's about 600 nautical miles from the tip of the Omani point at the Strait of Hormuz all the way up to Basra in Iraq. And I've actually escorted tankers out during the tanker wars. It just takes a long time. You need like a zone defense. So the real solution here is an international armada of ships with all the interested ships coming. We've done it before. I think there's an opportunity for a greater role by the United Kingdom.
Let me see how much time's on this video.
Have the United Kingdom Maritime Office there in Oman. They have a special defense relationship in Oman with the Omanis. The Omanis actually have a vantage point overlooking the entire Gulf, which should be the command and control point for peaceful.
Okay, we're going to come back to this video, but why I, go to the bathroom, I've been running like a sieve. We're going to put this video on. Let's see, how long does this one last? I don't need a whole bunch of time, but yeah.
In just 3 years, the Ukrainian nonprofit Wild Hornets have already produced innovative and inexpensive drone interceptor systems. Some of their drones include the first-person view, or FPV, bomber.
All right, I'll be right back. If I'm not back in time, just talk amongst yourselves. In fact, the next video should play automatically. So, but I got to go fertilize a field for a farmer. I'll be right back.
We've seen a lot about this, and particularly that high-speed Sting drone is something that could be a game changer in the U.S.'s involvement in Iran. Talk to us about what's so significant about them and how they work.
Well, these drones have already changed the game. They've changed warfare completely. Now the rest of the world is starting to wake up to the kind of terrorism that Russia and its best friend Iran have been perpetrating in Ukraine for 4 years now, terrorizing, killing Ukrainians, murdering Ukrainian civilians every day. Just actually in the last 24 hours, there was a massive attack with 400 Shahed type drones supplied by Iran or designed by Iran. The same kinds of drones that are murdering people and terrorizing community civilians in the Middle East. That's what we've been facing in Ukraine. So these Sting drones are super inexpensive, but they're even more importantly, they're super high quality. We have about 80 to 90% success rate. When we launch one, 80 to 90% of the time, it knocks down ahead, and that's actually very challenging to do, as now we're seeing in the Mideast, and also when Shaheds have been launched into NATO countries like Poland. They've had a lot of trouble knocking them down, and when they do, it's often with $1 million Sidewinder missiles or $4 million Patriot missiles, and our drones cost as little as $1,350.
So literally for $2,000, as opposed to hundreds of thousands, if not millions, this is a very economic way for the U.S. But I think what's really unique about it is that you learned from the battlefield in Ukraine that we could use in the case of when the Iranian drones, of which they're not running any shortage of supply on, these little stingers, the one behind you there, I believe is one, you can just put it up in the air. It goes 200 miles, quickly escalates, and with a skilled operator can take it out.
That's right. Yeah, within 10 to 20 kilometers range. But we've had some stings that.
Good night, Prism. Thanks for coming back and seeing us again. I appreciate you.
And
God bless you.
They can fly up to 5 kilometers in altitude. So that's why they're very effective. And Ukraine actually had to develop.
That's kind of a choppy video.
We didn't have a choice. It's not like we tried to, become some kind of the drone leaders in the world, which we actually became in just 3 short years.
I think we pretty much lead everything by the grace of Almighty God.
But it's an existential crisis, and we, as much as
Mark
Ukrainians
Levin, let's see what he has to
aid
say.
from various countries, the United States as well.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin Saturday. Thank you for being here.
All the countries in the world that have helped.
Do we want to?
It just wasn't enough. We're fighting a superpower, and Ukraine had a military budget lower
we want to
than
win
the
this
New York
war with
police
Iran?
departments before the.
Well, I know you do. You, Mr. and Mrs. America, you're patriots. But did the Democrats want to win this war? Did the leftists want to win this war?
No,
the media
they want us to lose.
They sure as hell
Bunch
act
of
like
hacks.
they don't.
Can't stand them.
Even though they're not outwardly rooting for the enemy, they're doing everything they can to sabotage the effort of the President of the United States and our. Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin Saturday. They're doing everything they can to dispirit us and disunite us. I have a question. Do we want to win this war? Do we want to win this war with Iran? Throwing everything out there. We can't win the war. It's an illegal war. We don't have a mission. Did the Democrats want to win this war? Do the leftists want to win this war? Do the media want to win this war? They sure as hell act like they don't. Even though they're not outwardly rooting for the enemy, they're doing everything they can to sabotage the effort of the President of the United States and our patriotic military. They're doing everything they can to dispirit us and disunite us. They're throwing everything out there. We can't win the war. It's an illegal war. We don't have a mission. We don't have a plan, and on and on and on, when we know we do. I want you to look at Chuck Schumer, September 11, 2012, what he said on CNN. Go.
The two biggest threats to Israel, the two most existential threats, if you will, are one, a nuclear Iran, and two, rockets raining in from Lebanon launched by Hezbollah. And I would say on those two issues, this president's been better than any other. He has launched sanctions against Iran that are tough and having an effect. He has made it clear that he will not support a nuclear Iran. He has made it clear that the policy of containment is not a good policy. And I'll tell you this on Iran, and I've said this to a couple of Romney supporters who agreed, that if the sanctions fail and military action is warranted, a re-elected President Obama is far more likely to launch that kind of military action, probably in concert with Israel, than would Mitt Romney, because Mitt Romney will be new. He'll have a whole domestic agenda. And I've talked to the president on Iran. He's resolute about not having a nuclear Iran. On Hezbollah, Netanyahu himself, the prime minister, admits that nobody has done more for Iron Dome than this administration. Israel has even tweaked it a little bit, so it's even stronger. And the percentage of Hezbollah rockets that might be launched from Lebanon, if there was a military action or Iran decided to let Hezbollah loose in any other way.
Get off my computer, get.
The number of rockets that would get through would be
I know
much,
you don't
much
know better,
smaller
sweetie,
than
but
it would have been in the past.
You know, I have to tell you, Mary, I'm just so disgusted by all this.
Too.
Even in the middle of a war, where we are doing spectacularly well, even though it's very complicated and difficult after half a century of this this regime digging in and building out. Did he not just say there, because Obama was president, if the Obama deal doesn't work and they're building nuclear weapons, if we have to take military action, we'll take military action. And Obama, more than Romney, would be willing to do so. Well, we have example after example of them lying about and cheating about that deal. The president got out of it because he said, wait a minute, I'm not going to participate in a deal that ensures that the enemy gets nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
But Iran was still in the deal with the UN, still in the deal with Europe, and they cheated to the point where they had nuclear material and a breakout.
Oh, yeah, Dave from Riverdale Fitness. How you doing?
In June. And what happened? They started up all again. Our envoys go there, and they told our envoys 3 weeks ago, guess what? We have 22,000 pounds of nuclear material. 22,000 pounds.
That's a lot.
And there's not a damn thing you're going to do about it because we're not giving it up. We're not giving it to any third parties. We're not going to do it. Oh, and by the way, they tell
That's about how much I weigh.
Yes,
22,000 pounds.
In 10 days, 11 nuclear
Not anymore,
bombs.
though. Diarrhea will do that to you.
And then they found out their research facility isn't a
that's my
research
culture.
facility. Again, they were making nuclear-grade material. And so in about 6 weeks, they'd have 25 nuclear bombs.
Yeah,
so the president
it's
of the United
crazy.
States
It's
is supposed
absolutely,
to just sit there
it's asinine.
and do
It really
nothing?
is.
Nothing against the greatest terrorist regime on the face of the earth that's killed and maimed over 1,000 Americans, that slaughters 50,000 of its own people, that's aligned with North Korea, China, and Russia. Just pretend nothing is happening, because that War Powers Act vote that failed the other day would have required the President of the United States right there and then to withdraw our entire military.
And that would have been a
Even
total waste.
in the
And
middle
the
of battle,
Democrats don't care.
Just to withdraw them.
Come on, Mark.
That's
bring
where
it.
Chuck Schumer and the Democrats were. So you heard what Schumer said. Was he lying then, or is he lying now? Or is he just a political hack? In fact, are all the Democrats, bar a couple, political hacks? When you're in the middle of a war, can't they put their politics aside for a second? Because here's what they think. If we lose, or if they can define the operation as losing, it's a political benefit to them. What are they saying out there? They're throwing everything in the kitchen sink to obstruct this war effort, to demean the commander-in-chief. They act like they're rooting for the enemy. Are they? Well, if they're not, they have a funny way of showing it. I want to read you something, and then I'll tell you who it's from. I can't read the whole thing, but a part of it.
I love this guy's passion.
But it is important.
He does have passion. I'll give him that much.
This is September 7, 2016 in the Wall Street Journal. It's an op-ed. Never forget is the commitment the American people made after 9/11. Yet sometimes our leaders seem to have forgotten Iran's role in the worst terror attack on American soil and Iran's continuing assistance to terror organizations and operations around the world. You haven't heard anybody discuss Iran's role in 9/11, yet it was significant. Their role in 9/11, in slaughtering our Marines in the barracks and attacking 2 of our embassies, in funding and supporting Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis, they have more blood on their hands than we can even count. He writes, in the last 15 years, it would be 25 years now, aggressive U.S.-led military and intelligence operations have killed many of al-Qaeda's leaders and damaged the group's ability to plan and execute a similar attack. But a key al-Qaeda partner, Iran, has never been held responsible for its enabling role, even though the 9/11 Commission found that there's strong evidence that Iran facilitated the transit of al-Qaeda members into and out of Afghanistan before 9/11, and that some of these were future 9/11 hijackers. There's even
I know, he's
more
like yelling.
evidence
He's really getting
because
into it.
families brought litigation.
I understand if he's preaching, he's under the anointing. That's total. That's not yelling, but
which was specific,
he's very passionate.
which was
I appreciate his
financial,
passion.
which was advisory, and trained many of them. Washington Institute's Matthew Levin
Amen. That's
and Michael
right, Sergeant.
Jacobson
Go get him.
concluded Iran and al-Qaeda reached an informal agreement to cooperate, with Iran providing critical explosives, intelligence, and security training to bin Laden's organization, because Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, already supported Hezbollah operationally and financially, and a vehicle was in place through which they could support and influence al-Qaeda. Operating through Hezbollah gave Iran immense freedom to funnel money and weaponry and to train al-Qaeda operatives in deadly tactics that would be employed around the world, including against us. The coordinated 1998 truck bombings targeting the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania were a direct result of Iranian terror training, according to a finding by Judge John Bates
of the
9/11? U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. Yet even as the U.S. has decried Iran's support
God bless
for
you.
terrorism,
God over you, 7.
Washington
nice
policymakers have pursued
and thank you for being in the prayer meeting this
relations
morning.
with Tehran. Biden was funding them, begging them, negotiating with them. In the years following reports, court rulings, and U.S. government findings exposing the Iran-Al-Qaeda alliance, the U.S. led the countries known as the P5+1 in making a deal. He's talking about the Obama deal with Iran that at best postpones Iran's nuclear ambitions. While giving them billions of dollars now, again,
Kevin Willis,
Biden
Brother
gave them
Willis.
tens of billions
by
removing restraints and sanctions and direct monies. A legal path to nuclear weapons.
Don't kick out Kevin Willis.
We negotiated with our enemy,
he's
the Iranian regime, notwithstanding its declared and demonstrated desire to destroy our country. And it goes on. You know who wrote this? Democrat Senator Joe Lieberman. Wouldn't it be nice if we had more Joe Liebermans and Fettermans? Instead, we have Schumers.
Yeah, Fetterman's impressive.
And his ilk.
Absolutely.
And Tim Kaine.
He might be a Democrat, but...
And Chris Murphy's. Just horrendous. Just horrendous.
Oh, okay.
Does the Democrat Party want us to lose? I think it does. When we have these horrific casualties, do they seem like they're really upset? Now, what I'm saying, they seem controversial. It's not. Do they seem like
to God be the glory. I'm just a man.
They're using them against the war effort. They're using it to undermine our military personnel who are in the field right now. They're doing everything they can to sabotage the commander-in-chief, legally, politically, with propaganda, with budgets, and so forth and so on. It's just horrendous. They talk about the price of gasoline. I mean, I see this reported endlessly by friend and foe. Endlessly. Look at the price. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? What about the straight? Let's get some facts straight here, shall we?
Actually, let me say something first.
The national...
Remember Revelation chapter 6, verse 6, where, and I don't know, I don't have it by heart right now in my mind, but it says, John said, or God said, see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And a lot of people believe that the black horse of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse has to do with capitalism, being the weight and the balances, the scales, and so the oil is an absolute major player in end time Bible prophecy. It said, see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And oil, man, that's huge. If they block the Strait of Hormuz, let's just say they could, it would start a war beyond belief. And it's all interesting. I love it. I love the word of God.
Average price for a gallon of gasoline, regular gasoline today across the country is $3.63. That's today.
$3.60 in Lake City, Michigan.
The talk is endless. It's gone up. It's
this
gone
is
up.
Mark
the
Levin.
President, I mean, he's very disinterested in this, which of course is ridiculous.
Oh, what did Kevin say?
Well, the highest national average price for a gallon of gasoline under the Biden administration was $5.16 a gallon, reached on June 14, 2022. I didn't see all the charts, all the graphics, all the experts, all the oil people, and this one and that one, to bring them up. Oh, my God, the price of gasoline. $5.16 a gallon under Biden, $3.63 under Trump in the middle of a war, which, by the way, economically will eventually bring down the price of gasoline, if that's the focus of people. This marked the highest national average price for regular gasoline in the history of the United States. And the surge in prices largely driven by supply constraints and market disruptions following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Did you hear people going on and on? We can't support Ukraine because the price of gasoline will go up? Of course not. Of course not. And yet now, this is one of the things they focus on. I want to ask you a question, America, and I really mean this. It's not just the war. Do the Democrats care about our security? Do the Democrats care about the safety in your community? Well, how do they show it? Other than undermining local cops and federal law enforcement, how do the Democrats show that they're concerned about your safety? Now, we have this regime, Iran. They're desperate. Their back's against the wall, so they're throwing everything they have. They're even attacking their allies. Who were their allies?
What you doing, Kat?
Shooting ballistic missiles into those countries.
Hey.
So let me ask you a question. They're talking about sleeper cells that they're going to trigger.
Yeah, they already done it.
Sleeper cells. We have enough individuals in this country that the Democrats imported into this country who are more than willing to attack our country, and they don't need notice by Iran to do it. But that in a moment. We're at a heightened state of alert. And the Democrat Party has defunded elements of our domestic security apparatus when we've never had a more heightened alert for possible terrorism against the homeland. It's called the Department of Homeland Security for a reason.
That's
it was
right.
Developed after
keep it
9/11.
funded.
And so the Coast Guard is basically
he is passionate, and that's the reason I like him so much. Yeah, he cares.
Military campaigns and war and so forth.
And you can talk
calmly.
calmly.
That there are 56,000 members of the Coast Guard, and they're not being paid.
That's crazy.
Because the Democrats have literally defunded the Coast Guard.
Yeah, they don't care.
In the middle of a war.
Fire every one of them.
Is that patriotic America?
No, it's not. It's
or is that them sabotaging our security and our war effort?
Absolutely.
Is that them giving aid and comfort to the enemy? I'm asking you the truth. Now, they'll have 1,000 reasons, a whole list of propaganda while they'll tell you why they're doing it. None of them flies. What about the TSA?
Denise, good to see you. How you doing tonight?
The Transportation Safety Organization was created after 9/11.
Yeah, he kind of does remind me of Limbaugh a little bit. And it's not that beautiful bald head either. Because, I'm getting bald too.
Their job description has been expanded to all overground transportation.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I got
Trains,
2 of them.
Bridges.
They're good
so
girls.
Forth and so on.
They're both
they have
tortoiseshell.
65,000 employees. They're not getting paid today.
Calicos.
Because the Democrats have defunded the TSA, despite the highest alert of potential terrorism in our country and this enemy that will do anything to strike at us and has done anything to strike at us. So the Democrats have defunded it. What about the Secret Service to protect the president and other important officials, high officials?
We prayed hard for the president this morning.
They've
I'm
been
going to put a link up
defunded
to
too,
that
about
prayer meeting.
6,500
You guys
personnel.
wanna check
They're
it
not
out.
getting paid. And then, of course, FEMA, average folks out there who need help from the federal government, natural disasters or other kinds of disasters, or God forbid, a major terrorist event, FEMA's on the ground, 20,000 workers, they're not being paid. So the Democrats will tell you, because we want reforms with ICE. They, if they could, would defund ICE. ICE is involved in customs.
Hey, well, from the UK.
Immigration enforcement. ICE is the key agency that deports illegal aliens. The millions of illegal aliens the Democrats brought in here, including would-be terrorists, including people on the terrorist list, including convicted criminals who've poured into our country, thanks to Biden and the Democrat Party. Trump comes in and says, we're moving these people out. And so they have sanctuary cities and states. You know what that means? Cities and states run by Democrats who insist that illegal aliens should be treated better than American citizens, whether they've committed additional crimes or not. They won't give us their names. They won't give us their locations. They won't allow local police officers to help ICE. And now they're saying either you effectively destroy ICE. They call them reforms, of course. The left always calls the destruction of freedom reforms. You either put these reforms in and basically make it impossible for them to find and detain and deport illegal aliens and expose themselves and their families to the left-wing kooks. You either do that, and by the way, make sure ICE is nowhere near the precincts.
In the house. There's Brother Jeff. We were worried about you, my friend. I got your messages earlier, but the chat was worried about you.
We're shutting down the government. So they want to destroy ICE. They effectively destroyed our immigration laws and our border when they were in power. Now they have defunded the Coast Guard. They have defunded TSA, they have defunded FEMA, they have defunded the Secret Service, and they blame the Republicans. And of course, their media go right along with it. Well, of course, it's the Republicans' fault. They bring up bill after bill after bill to vote on it. Okay. Now, let's get down to nitty gritty. All of this, too, involves domestic terrorism. Domestic terrorism. Terrorists come in a Michigan synagogue.
Just remember before you
identified as
make sure it's
man
one that really needs to be deleted. You guys are the best, though. You guys do good. COS, you're the bomb.
Was attacked.
Yeah, you guys are good.
Woman dies from injuries suffered in Boulder anti-Semitic attack. Remember that? The handmade flamethrower, an Islamist.
Oh, yeah, caught her right on fire.
It's easy to forget, but let's not forget. ISIS-linked Mohammed Beilar Jalil, ID'd as Old Dominion gunman, an Islamist, who murdered the instructor who was a lieutenant colonel in the Army.
Can you guys hear me still?
And thank God those ROTC students took action into their
Testing
own
one.
hands.
Testing two.
Another Islamist. Sorry, these are the facts. D.C. Jewish museum suspect terrorist Elias Rodriguez fired nearly 24 shots, murdered these two young people who had worked at the Israeli embassy.
I remember that. Yeah, that's awful.
Shot them in the back. One was trying to crawl away, the young lady, and he shot her repeatedly and killed her. A Marxist, but a river to the sea adherent. These are all relatively recent, America. Some of them are very recent. FBI, New York City, ISIS-inspired terrorists through IEDs wanted to carry out attack bigger than Boston Marathon. Islamists. Terrorist who shot 2 National Guard members in D.C. was led into the country by the Biden administration and so forth and so on. An Islamist. Terror in Austin. Remember this one? We have a jihadist, an Islamist, who killed 2 and wounded 14 in an Austin bar. That wasn't that long ago. We have a problem. I want you to look at this chart on anti-Semitism. You see that chart on anti-Semitism? We have a number of problems here in this country. Number one, we opened our borders in our country to people who hate us.
Exactly.
Americans. Number two, we opened them to people who hate Jews in particular. Number three, we have individuals in this country, the Marxists and Islamist left, as well as the woke right neo-fascists. They know who they are. I know who they are. Mr. and Mrs. America knows who they are. Drumbeat every day, anti-Americanism, imperialism, colonialism, and the Jews in Israel and Netanyahu, and the Jews in Israel and Netanyahu, the Father Coughlins of our day. That's what's going on in our country. And we have spineless, gutless politicians who won't speak out against any of it.
Tear it up.
Any of it. In the Democrat Party, it is growing, and it's a growing part of their base. In the Republican Party, we have these rogue elements, so-called influencer podcasters, and virtually none of the Republican leaders, a handful, will name them by name and call them out and shame them.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
All right, let's bring up another one. So I was talking earlier, guys. I was talking about the Dome of the Rock and how there's been rockets flying over the Dome of the Rock like all week, getting really close to hitting it. I really think that, listen, if they take out the Dome of the Rock, there will be war on a scale hitherto yet to be discovered. Because the Dome of the Rock is a major place for Christianity, for Islam, and for Judaism. And I firmly believe, and the Bible is specifically clear, that is where Solomon's third temple will be rebuilt. And with modern technology, since the blueprints are done, the tools for the priests to begin sacrificing animals are recreated. The priests have been trained, and it takes 11 to 14 months to build Solomon's third temple. Well, that's plenty of time for a 7-year tribulation period that gets really messy at the halfway point when the Antichrist causes a peace treaty that the Antichrist himself will create between Israel and Palestine. He breaks his own peace treaty because he got booted out of heaven when he went to war in heaven at the way point, and Michael fights him again. That time, or this time in the future, it's going to happen. Lucifer loses again because he's stupid. He gets kicked out of heaven again, but this time, even access from the throne is cut off to Satan. And the Bible says, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, for the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, aka that's when the great tribulation happens. That's the second half of the 7-year tribulation. The first half is basically setting everything up. And then he'll cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. He'll stand up, and that rebuilt Jewish temple, the Antichrist will. He'll claim to be God. And we're going to study that this week on my channel, probably starting on Monday, depending on how my health is. All right, so let's see, what do we got here? Let's do this. I thought Jesse Waters and all that today, but that's okay. We'll go with this one right here. Oh wait, did we just do? No, I don't think we did. This is Levin again, but this is an interview, and it's only 5 minutes. You guys ready? Punch it, Chewie. Sorry, had to throw it in there.
Welcome back, America. We're here with John Spencer, who is one of not just renowned experts in America, but in the world. He's with the Madison Policy Forum. He's chair of the War Studies group there, and he's Urban Warfare Institute executive
Country
director.
Carpenter, good to you again.
You have a fantastic background as well. John, welcome back. 2 simple questions to begin. Is this war against Iran a righteous war? And are we winning this war against Iran? Unfortunately, I have to ask these questions given the
sure it'd be nice if we were leading Iran so they could actually surrender.
Of course, this is a righteous and just war.
But they won't.
I personally had soldiers die in Iraq from this evil Islamic regime in Iran's terror proxy forever war it's been waging on us for 47 months. And luckily, the 47th president said, enough is enough. That ends today. You're not getting a nuclear weapon. You're not getting a ballistic shield to develop nuclear weapons. You're not going to hold the Straits of Hormuz as a gun against the head of the global economy while we're instilling strength through peace. I think this is an extremely just war so that my kids don't have to go fight this evil terror
well,
regime.
And it falls under the category of Matthew 24.
That nuclear weapon and
there'll be wars and rumors of wars.
The entire world already having ballistic missiles that could range Europe. I mean, this is, for so many reasons, a righteous war. How's it going? Well, we're in uncharted territory. Never before has a military opened a war by eliminating the entire political and military leadership of the opposing force. We are raining down steel on every target, and then we're not even, according to the Secretary of War, done yet. We haven't even done the biggest day. Over 6,000 targets by the U.S. alone. If you combine it with Israel, it's over 12,000, if not 14,000 targets. They don't have a Navy anymore. They don't have an Air Force. They supposedly have a new leader. All we've seen is a cardboard figure that gave one message. They're in complete chaos and disarray. I mean, this will go into history books and be taught in war colleges around the world as a history-changing moment on how to completely dominate, overwhelm, and do what you want against the enemy to achieve these very specific goals. And I know that you hate, as much as I do, these fake news influencers talking about what they think the goals are. I mean, how many times do we have to write it in crayon that the president, the secretary of war, the CENTCOM commander say every day, here are the goals, and we're way ahead of schedule in achieving those goals. 90% of ballistic missiles stopped, 95% of their drones stopped, and soon the Straits of Hormuz will be forever taken from them as an ability to threaten the world.
God bless you.
By mining
God
it or
over you,
whatever.
Seven. I
mean,
appreciate you. And thank you again for being in our prayer meeting this
on.
morning.
We're dominating them.
Now, when you look at the Democrat Party, rather than celebrating what our men and women are doing in uniform, and you've worked with them throughout your career, throughout your life.
There we go.
Rather than ensuring that the homeland is secure, putting politics aside and their own agendas aside, rather than talking about how well the president is doing, because they feel that'll hurt them in the midterm elections, rather than complimenting our ally and their leader, Prime Minister Netanyahu and Israel,
the trolls with souls are definitely out tonight, folks.
And sabotage this effort. I call this Operation Sabotage. Have you ever seen anything like this, John Spencer?
Not really. I mean, I try to be apolitical in my
analysis, Mark Levin.
Global analysis, but you have to call a spade when they have Trump derangement syndrome, to be frank. And no matter what happens, the goodness that is happening, the fact that this will and already has made the United States.
What's really sad is that with Trump derangement syndrome, it is taking somebody who was demonically oppressed. I'm not kidding. This is how I see it. It takes somebody that was demonically oppressed, because oppression is different than possession. Although both are from the same source, the devil, demons. So you got somebody who hated Trump at first, right? They're like, nah, I'm not for this guy. He's an absolute jerk, right? And then you start going into a phase of mental illness known as TDS, simply known as Trump derangement syndrome. Now your oppression, where those demons are around you and whispering into your mind and trying to drive you crazy over one man. Now you've opened it up to demonic possession. And I don't question it at all. I bet maybe not all the regular Democrat people out in society, not all of them. I got Democrats that are friends that are Democrats. But a good majority of them in the Senate and in the House of Representatives are without question, in my opinion, beyond oppression, and they're directly demonically possessed because of their hatred was the doorway for their soul to be controlled. And if they don't get that cast out of them, they will go to hell if they don't repent and get right with God.
Stronger, made the region more peaceful, and will soon birth
it makes sense
from a
spiritual perspective.
In the Middle
East. It's exactly where it's heading.
I haven't seen it before,
and your heart breaks for them, even though they are Democrats. They don't need to go to hell.
And I looked at the people and they were Democrats mostly in Democrat media, who were trashing Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War.
Yeah, they were.
And they called him an ape. And they attacked his wife, and they attacked him left and right and left. Maybe it's par for the course with the Democrat Party. I don't know. But either way, I think it's disgusting. We'll be right back.
Keep striking Iran. Tehran is openly. As the U.S. and Israel keep striking Iran, Tehran is openly threatening U.S. assets in its neighboring countries. Today, fire broke out at oil facilities in the United Arab Emirates thanks to debris from an intercepted Iranian drone. Lucas Tomlinson is live in Dubai. Lucas.
Well, good afternoon, Brian. Iran has issued a new warning for residents here in the United Arab Emirates to evacuate if they're anywhere close to the port here in Dubai, the major point in Abu Dhabi, about an hour and a half away, and also at the Fujairah oil terminal. That's near the Strait of Hormuz, where, as you mentioned, debris from a successful drone intercept.
This next video is very concerning.
Landed at the oil terminal, shutting down oil production. And authorities say that fire, since this video has been taken, is now under control, but operations have been suspended. Now, the attack appeared to be in response to U.S. forces bombing Iran's Harg Island in the northern Persian Gulf, a key strategic oil hub for Iran, responsible for exporting 96% of Iran's oil last year, Brian, and what the Pentagon thinks is a choke point or a vulnerability for Iran. While Iran is holding the Strait of Hormuz hostage, it appears President Trump wants to return the favor and seize the island, which is located 16 miles off the coast of Iran, closer to Iraq and Kuwait in the northern Persian Gulf, as you can see there on the map. Now, Senator Lindsey Graham posting in part on X a not so subtle message. I'll just read the ending. He says, "He who controls Harg Island controls the destiny of this war. Semper Fi," the Marine Corps motto, a not so subtle reference to the Pentagon dispatching more than 2,000 Marines aboard the Tripoli Amphibious Ready Group to the Middle East from the Pacific. It might take a week or two for those Marines to arrive, and part of the Ready Group is an aviation component as well, Brian. 5th-generation F-35 stealth fighter jets, the Bravo version flown by the Marines, Ospreys, Super Stallions, and Vipers, AH-1 Marine Corps helicopter gunships. Now, the Pentagon says the U.S. and Israeli forces have hit more than 15,000 targets inside Iran. Here's some new video released by the U.S. Military Central Command showing B-2 stealth bombers preparing to launch for a bombing mission over Iran. B-2s are the only planes in the Air Force inventory that can carry the massive 30,000-pound bunker busters. It can also carry 16 2,000-pound satellite-guided bombs or up to 80 500-pound bombs. Excuse me, that was written more for John Scott, but I thought you'd appreciate it, Brian. Now, here in Dubai, we can report that tourism, a major industry for Dubai, is way down. Hotels that should have 85-90% occupancy are now down to just 8%. Just the other day, we drove to Palm Island, the big man-made island here in.
So what I'd like to start doing is doing like a members only first during the day, where all of us can watch the news together as members only, and then later, if you guys want to help me moderate, and you might be listening to the same stuff twice, but you'll still be able to have conversation with one another. I'll still put some word of God too, because we also need to reach those that are those trolls with souls. That there might be 1 out of 5,000 that go through here that might get inspired. Chat, or something I might say out of the Bible, because I have to reach for them. We all should, But I would like to do that to where we can just kind of have a members only. Wednesday, we're going to do a members only, and we're going to watch some political stuff, and it's going to be fun. We'll make it fun. Anyway, let's get back to this video. I appreciate my moderators. I got the best out there, no doubt.
Dubai, and it was a virtual ghost town. So while it's a financial hub here in Iran, has threatened banks and financial institutions, this is also a city that relies on tourism, and many of those tourists have either fled or they're not coming here, Brian.
Yeah, we all know John Scott is an aviation enthusiast. But Lucas, I want to ask you one question before I let you go. 2,500 Marines headed to that area of the world. Do you think that those Marines are meant for Harg Island, or do you think those Marines are meant to find, search, and capture or destroy the 440 plus kilograms of uranium in Iran?
Iran's a pretty big country, Brian. As you know, it's more than twice the size of Texas. And sending Marines or any kind of Tier 1 special operations forces, that would be a very daring mission. It does appear there's still a large target list for the U.S. and Israeli forces to bomb before an operation like that could happen. And also, it might not be required to physically get this enriched uranium out of the country. It could be as challenging as just bombing those locations. But since nuclear sites and enriched uranium doesn't shoot back,
I thought the USS Boxer had already deployed
Harg Island, that
one
is
of those
something the Marine
half
Corps is
aircraft
certainly
carrier
trained
size
to do.
ships. I thought that deployed last week.
It's going to be a week or two before they get here. So perhaps announcing these Marines coming here might be a feint, and other forces could be involved. Brian, we won't get into too much of that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Lots of messages being sent to Iran, and they are hard, difficult messages, no doubt. We shall see. Lucas Tomlinson live in Dubai. Lucas, thank you.
Now, this video is awesome. That's what I'm bringing up right now.
Subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube.
This is absolutely fascinating and
now,
very
IonQ
much
CEO
going to
Niccolo
fit right into Bible prophecy.
Niccolo, how
Nice
closely have you
and
been
neat.
watching all of the developments in the Middle East and the fact that some of these missiles and drones have managed to hit their targets?
Well, we consider ourselves a close partner of this administration. The Department of War, of course, is front and center in the last week, and indeed in really driving the quantum programs, not only up in space and up in the air, but of course on the ground and even under the ocean. We are the only quantum company in history to reach our size, and we operate in all warfighting domains, from submarines up into the heavens. We've obviously been closely watching the last few weeks, and we consider ourselves in pole position here to not only help expand our defensive posture, but also our offensive posture.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what Iran was able to do. I mean, and it's rare considering how the U.S. has really, along with Israel, been hammering so many targets successfully in Iran. Iran destroyed this very expensive anti-missile radar system that was in Jordan. For quantum-enabled missile defense, what are you able to do? What is your goal here, and how would it work involving IonQ technology?
Well, a lot of our work is obviously classified. We have announced a partnership with a drone manufacturer named Levin. I think it's safe to say that the future of the
that's an
battlefield
ironic name,
runs
isn't
right
it?
through quantum computing, but it's also our quantum sensing capabilities that are important for the warfighting domains that matter on the modern battlefield. We're working on both short, medium, and long-term initiatives. Most of our quantum sensing activities are in areas that help things like submarines through the spacecraft know where they are. But also, we're thinking ahead to obviously a world where quantum computers are more prevalent and where quantum security is vital. And so protecting our communications posture, not just for civilians, but of course for the modern battlefield, is front and center. Our post-quantum cryptography, our quantum key distribution, and of course, calculating logistics and looking at all the permutations and combinations that you can forecast are front and center for what quantum computers promise to bring, with IonQ very much leading the pack.
At what speed? That's what I want our viewers to understand about what you believe your technology can do. You mentioned permutations. There are a million possibilities when a drone is shot up and at a target. We just don't know exactly what it will hit. What could a quantum computer built into a radar system do, and how quickly?
Well, we believe we're going to make advances possible in this administration that will ultimately change the world and certainly change the battlefield. Quantum computing through IonQ is coming faster than everyone thought before, and that's because we're the best capitalized company in history, and we're very focused on bringing manufacturing for the whole quantum ecosystem firmly and centrally to IonQ and to the U.S.
What are we agreeing on?
We make our machines entirely with the U.S. supply chain. We announced an acquisition of a business called Skywater just about 6 weeks ago. Skywater is actually supporting the whole U.S. quantum industry. And so we're proud of the fact that we are the leading merchant supplier to the entire quantum industry. It's our atomic clocks, our quantum chips, quantum networking equipment.
Yeah, give them a chance.
Supplied, not just the DOW,
give them a
of course
chance.
To all of our partners. And so we're really here
if they're
to
swearing,
accelerating
if they're talking like a pervert.
This is a race against
So if they're swearing, one warning. If they're talking like a pervert, get them out of my chat, because there's children that could be listening to this. So,
recognize that
I don't mind if they're rude to me, give them a warning or two. But if they're being disrespectful to women directly,
INQ supporting the
just get them out. I'm going to let people disrespect women. Not on my watch.
And of course, making sure that
but yeah, like if they're swearing, give them a warning.
And quantum
cybersecurity.
So, yeah. This is the battlefield of the future.
I mean, we're getting busy, guys. The channel,
in fact, since the
channel's exploding. We've gotten like 250,000 views in the last 48 hours. I got it right here.
Activist groups launching attacks on the U.S. allied targets. Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan issued a warning about this.
I get rid of them. I usually just get them right out. But I guess we could put them in timeout. But that's not going to change them, in my opinion. Why would it? You know. I mean, they came here to be a jerk, so they're going to still be a jerk, I think.
Some of the largest banks and telcos in the world.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to give them a chance, that's fine.
Security, which is physical security on fiber optic cables. They also.
I mean, it is possible somebody could make a mistake with swearing. You know, I used to cuss like a sailor. I made up words to add to the lexicon of swear words.
Cybersecurity.
I mean, I had a foul mouth.
Because this not only protects you in a world where quantum computers
so it's hard to quit swearing, and if you're not letting the Holy Ghost guide you on that,
and ultimately,
you know, and if they're not serving God anyway, it's going to be hard for them to stop. So give them a warning.
Not just from the gray market.
Yeah. What's going on with the sound?
You just froze right when. Oh, go ahead.
Speak of quantum computing.
Your camera froze for a second, but I wanted to jump in and ask
computer over there.
Is your technology that fights cybersecurity hacks? Is it faster?
Yeah, I mean, you got to use your own discretion too on that. Yeah, Jeff brings up a great point. Yeah. Sometimes you got to use your own discretion.
I don't know if speed is
if you feel like they're going to be a problem, then just broom them fast.
Information from being communicated when we know somebody's trying to listen on the line. And we're looking to make sure that the bad guys, if and when they get quantum computers down the line, are not able to take advantage of snooping on your line or hacking into your data center when you're unaware of it. And so, you know, we're looking to provide the ultimate
I got to figure out what Kevin uses
some of the firms you mentioned
to get rid of
partners of ours long-term.
Trolls,
we're
because
open to how we go to
I asked him one day, but he was probably
directly,
just busy.
We sell through partners.
Or maybe he didn't want to give up his secret to his success.
If you will, for all quantum technologies.
Because Larry's channel, there's like no trolls hardly ever.
Fighting domains. That's our goal.
And fast is crucial. I know that, but so is the quality of what you're discovering and shutting down. Nicolo, thank you for joining us. We'll continue to watch the headlines about any kind of opportunity.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get, let's see here. It would be nice to hear from Rush Limbaugh again, wouldn't it? Even though he's gone. Let's see what we could find on Rush. Let's see here. 10 years ago, 16 years ago. Wow. Ooh, here we go. This would be fun to watch. Listen to this. Watch this. Rush Limbaugh takes on Obama at a news conference. Here we go, right here. Yeah, I'm not going to be on much longer tonight because I'm just not feeling good. Okay, what's going on, Crazy? Yeah, let's kind of, I don't mind the capital letters, but let's try to calm down on the caps. And I do it a lot too. But yeah. Crazy, are you all right, man? Because what? I'm still here. What's wrong? So here's Rush Limbaugh from like 10 years ago. You got booted on your own channel? Uh-oh.
What sponsors decide?
Not sure how that happened.
Comment on either the economics or the politics.
Wow, that's weird, dude.
I don't know what's in Rush Limbaugh's heart, so I'm not going to comment on the sincerity of his apology.
How would that work?
What I can comment on is the fact that all decent folks can agree that the remarks that were made don't have any place in the public discourse.
So you were on your channel and it booted you on your own stream?
You know, the reason I called Ms. Flute is because
I get it. What you're
I thought about Malia and Sasha, and one of the things I want them to do.
Oh yeah, let's stream on my channel. For now, yeah.
Issues they care about, even ones I may not agree with them on. I want them to be able to speak their mind in a civil and thoughtful way.
I hate seeing Obama on the screen, but Rush is supposed to like question him on this one.
Attacked or called.
Obama takes on Rush Limbaugh in press
horrible
conference.
Names because they're being good citizens, and I wanted Sandra to know that that I thought her parents should be proud of her. And that we want
this isn't what I was looking for.
to send a message to all our young people that being part of a democracy involves.
Let's go with Caroline Levitt, Trump, first president to actually do well. Let's see. Oh, check this out. Okay, this is a big good one. Yeah, I'll be feeling better tomorrow, guys. I think my stomach is starting to get a little bit better. But I ain't never going to eat 2 full yellow onions and 2 full heads of garlic chopped up with olive oil cooked up like that ever again. I messed up on that one. My stomach has been killing me.
"60 Minutes Rewind."
Oh, wait a minute.
If
might
Walter
get hit for
Cronkite has
this.
been called the most trusted man in America, Rush Limbaugh has been called the most.
Yeah, they might hit me with that one. Let's go with Fox News. Rush Limbaugh. Maybe he was. I haven't heard Rush's voice in quite some time. Here we go. Okay. No one's going to have a fit about this. This is on Fox News. At least I don't think they would. It's just nice to visit, you know, because he was such a big part of my understanding politics. When I was in Bible college on my route for DHL, I listened to Rush for 4 hours straight, 5 days a week. And then Sean Hannity after him.
He is the most listened to talk show host in America, who this week said the budget deal Congress handed the president was an outrage by both parties. Rush Limbaugh joins us live from his EIB studio in Florida. Rush,
good night, Patty. Glad to have you with us today.
To have you for your annual visit.
Yeah, and it's great to be back.
I got the best moderators. We got Crazy Soldier with us tonight. We got Jeff DePew, Angela,
constitutional conservative, and
Lambert's with us.
Do you really have
Paul Harvey.
No problem with
yes,
President Trump
good one.
declaring a national emergency and taking money that Congress refused to give them?
You know, no, I don't. I just listened to your panel, and I think so many. It's all minutia. All you guys were talking about was a minutia.
It's good to hear him again.
Candy Pavlich had it right. We have an emergency. This is an invasion. The very existence and definition of American culture, American society, the rule of law. Why does nobody talk about the fact that millions and millions and millions of people are breaking the law coming here illegally, and that the Democrat Party wants that to happen? We can't have the breakdown of rule of law and law and order this way.
Get him, Rush.
That alone would suggest
on
that
the
this has gone on way
EIB
too long and needs to stop it. The argument about where drugs come into the country, can anybody deny that they're coming in and it needs to be stopped and it's destroying future generations of the country? We're so caught up in the game of how
here it is, right here.
Debates issues. Is this a fact? Is that not a fact? It is undeniable that we have a major immigration problem and a political party that needs a permanent underclass of voters that wants that parade of illegal people who are uneducated, don't even speak the language. They want them here.
I can find.
And you and I have this agreement that I can interrupt you so I can keep things moving because, as Donald Trump said, you can go for 3 hours. All right, but I want to ask you about
3 hours.
The game that you say we play.
That's true. We can go 3 hours.
That when President Obama took executive actions, you were outraged, and as you would expect, I've got a couple of examples of Rush Limbaugh over the years. Let's put them on the screen. In June of 2012, when President Obama deferred action against the Dreamers, you said this: 40 years ago, Richard Nixon was hounded out of office, supposedly for his illegal actions. And I'm telling you that whatever Nixon did pales in comparison to just this move by Obama today. in November of 2014 on reports that Mr. Obama was going to protect millions of parents of dreamers, you said this: we can't just stand idly by and try to find some political opportunity while the president basically shreds the Constitution and flushes it down the toilet. So here's my question, Rush. I understand that you like what President Trump is doing and you didn't like what President Obama was doing. But that's the concern here, is that to the degree that you give the president more and more powers, yes, you're going to get some things, executive powers from one president you like, but you're going to get things, executive powers from another president that you don't like.
You may look at it that way. I don't. I look at it right and wrong. And what Obama was doing was furthering this existing problem. He was politicizing this, using whatever executive powers he wanted to use. Yes, I objected to that, but primarily because of what he was doing with these executive powers. He was taking action that I deemed to be harmful to the country. I look at what Trump is doing as something he has to do because he's not getting any cooperation whatsoever. Both parties, Chris, let's be honest here, both parties have people that are still trying to get rid of Donald Trump. I read this bill, this spending bill. This bill is outrageous. The things, welcoming centers for newly arriving illegal aliens and all kinds of medical care for. The purpose of this bill, I think, was to eventually be used by the Democrats and some Republicans to tell the American people, see, electing Trump was pointless, worthless. He can't protect you. He can't stop us. He can't do what he said he was going to do because we hate him so much, we're not going to allow him to do it. That's what this bill is.
Maybe I can get
all of this
Fox News, Paul Harvey.
Where the heck are we going as a country, and what kind of country are we going to have? And if anybody is willing to go to the limit to make this country remain as
we're the devil,
have my support.
All right. President Trump talked about you on Friday. Here he is.
Rush Limbaugh, I think he's a great guy. He's like, I could speak for 3 hours without a phone call. Try doing that sometime. For 3 hours he speaks.
I could too.
He's got one of the biggest audiences in the history of the world. I mean, this guy is unbelievable.
Now, you've gotten upset.
I got the best moderators and friends.
And some others for saying that President Trump listens to you. But let's go back to what we were talking about, which was last December. Vice President Pence goes to the Republican Senate leaders and he says, you got a continuing resolution, and the president has authorized me to tell you he's going to sign it. And then you get on the radio and some others get on the radio and the House Freedom Caucus gets up and they say, look, this continuing resolution doesn't have a dime for the wall, and he shouldn't sign it. And the very next day, after they told the Senate Republican leaders he's going to sign it, the president says, no, I've changed my mind. And you put on the radio that he sent a message directly to you.
Okay, this one might work right here.
I'm not going to sign this bill. So, look, I'm not saying that you're a puppet master.
Voices from the
but
dial.
Would you agree that he cares about what you say and what your millions of listeners hear?
Of course he does. He cares about what everybody thinks, but I don't make policy. Can I take just a brief few seconds to correct what happened here? I'm on the radio. I'm reviewing this bill. It's horrible. It doesn't even have the $1.6 billion that the Senate.
It's horrible.
So I said last December, he's getting less than nothing. And I said, he can't sign this thing. This is crazy. I get an instant message at that moment from somebody.
Yeah, this is back when they were trying to take advantage of President Trump. When his first administration, he had a bunch of hats.
The media then takes that to say that he was almost ready to sign it. He had the D in his first
name.
Like
Navarro.
And then somebody
what's her face from The View.
No, Mr. President, Rush Limbaugh says no. That's not what happened. And if these people in the media, Chris, really thought that I was telling Trump what to do and when, they'd be calling me. They'd be asking me about it. They'd want to get down to the dirty details. I haven't had one call. I haven't had one inquiry.
You guys remember when President Trump gave him that Medal of Freedom? Was it the Medal of Freedom?
To diminish the
president. Man, I about bawled when I seen that.
Doesn't know what he's doing, can't do it without guidance from the so-called wacko right. It's not at all the way he's governing, and there isn't anybody.
I suppose if they're being violent, if they've gone that far on the right,
actually making policy for this president.
Okay. I'm going to switch subjects now. We've had enough about the wall.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've had a rough day today. The only decent time with my health I had today was during that prayer meeting this morning, and I'm gonna, I'll put a link up if you guys want to check it out. And you could even pray with it because I had music playing. Hey, John VA, good morning, or Yeah, good morning. It's 12:24 in the morning. Yeah, I've been fighting. This is really nasty. Dude, I've been running like a road runner all day, man, to the toilet.
Thinking about how many
running like a road runner
officials might support such an effort.
Now, McCabe says that there was
I know,
no
that was
serious
kind of
conversation.
gross,
He
but
says this was raised.
I'm with my friends. I feel
Rosenstock
comfortable.
says, to the degree he ever discussed it, it was sarcastic. Why do you call what was going on inside the FBI a silent coup?
Oh, it
Because
was.
these people are unelected. They took it upon themselves to overthrow the
Rush Limbaugh could
election
always
results of
see
2016,
things that other people couldn't right
ignoring
away.
the potential real collusion and conspiracy between Democrats and Russians to undermine the Trump candidacy and the Trump presidency. The Mueller investigation, I believe, is a cover-up of all of that. It's to distract everybody's attention.
Yeah, I do. I want to make the prayer a regular thing. Absolutely, yeah.
People unelected simply because they
we
don't
might
like
even
a
do it
guy's
again in the
hairstyle
morning,
or like where he
depending
came
if
from,
I'm feeling
decided the
okay,
American
you know,
people's
because
decision was
it's
invalid
been pretty
and
rough today.
began
But
a systematic
absolutely.
process to get
And I'll
him thrown
probably
out of
be at
office.
least,
This is a silent
we'll
coup.
do
These
some prayer in
guys,
the morning if
you
I'm
ask
feeling up
me,
to it.
ought to
And
be the
then
ones in jail.
I'm going to
They
be
ought to
bringing a
the ones
morning
under
service,
investigation.
a message, a
What they
sermon.
have done working
Absolutely.
with agents from the Obama intelligence agencies is simply unprecedented.
I love
This
the
is a
Word of God,
con.
and
This
I
is one of
love
the
to share
greatest
it.
political
And I love our
hoaxes
veterans.
that has ever
We got
been
the best
perpetrated
veterans in here.
on the people of this country.
I don't know. I can't say enough good things about you people. That's why I went live tonight. I was going to pick up my little girl from work. I was going to go to bed, and I missed you guys. And I know it's only been a short amount of time since
that he
I've
served
seen you,
up
but
to 25 years in prison, basically be a life sentence.
here's what I want to do.
69 years old.
All right, let's do this.
What do you think of the sentence?
So, does anybody remember Paul Harvey, right? He had a 1965 broadcast on the radio, and titled, "If I Were the Devil." Paul Harvey, 1965. I bring to you, and I don't think they'll give me a copyright claim. I think this was okay. The 1960 original broadcast called "If I Were the Devil," and it is definitely for the United States today. All right, and go. Yeah, I'm a little bit slower tonight. Sorry. And punch it, Tui. And there we go. Oh, wrong button. My cat, she's being so calm next to me. I got to wean her off of them because she's gaining more weight than I've gained.
Rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work.
All right, here beginning. Are you guys ready? Now, remember,
if I were the devil.
Listen to his voice.
If I were the
it's
devil.
very prophetic, yeah. Absolutely,
If I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have 1/3 of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. Thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington.
Ooh.
And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science.
That's a big one.
I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
I love how he said good. And it's so true. I mean, you could preach on this 75 Wednesday. It's got so much. 1965. Oops, hold on. That was 10 years before I was here. And he hit every key point in that little thing of his, little live broadcast of his. And that was in 1965. Golly jeepers, I didn't even know people stood that far back. I just showed up in 1975, didn't even ask to be here. I'm just kidding. You guys are gonna kill me. It'd be like, thanks for the nice word, Mike. Now you're stabbing us in the back. Hey, cat. I bet. So, yeah, Paul Harvey. I could listen to him when I was a little kid. He drew you to it. His voice was very profound. And then he would say, "Good day." His "good day" was classic, man. I loved it. But okay, I gotta go pick up my little girl. She's gonna be done soon, I hope. It is a McDonald's though, so when they get behind, and she sent me pictures of the big old line they had in drive-through a while ago. That girl's worked hard. Unhide H5Q. Let's see. Okay. All right, hold on. So I'd go hide and then unhide. Okay, he's unhid. Be okay. Go. What's your name? Shrek. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was I ate, and I'm pretty sure what did it. 2 full heads of garlic yesterday, 2 large yellow onions or medium-sized yellow onions. Cooked all that up with olive oil, and then I put some bacon bits in it with a little bit of garlic salt, and I added a pinch of brown sugar into it. It was so good. And I just ate too much. And it'll actually constipate you. Oh, there's my daughter. So, and then I went and I bought some, if you need to clean out, check this out. Easy citrate. 3.5 hours. You'll be flowing like the Force, Jeff DePew. Yeah. Yeah, it gets everything moving, but it took like 4 hours to kick in. And oh my gosh, I was like, it was like my intestines were pushing up against my stomach wall. It was just awful. Okay, she's all set, guys. Oh, Jeff Depew says, God bless you, brother Michael Shriver, and everything you do for the kingdom of Jesus Christ. There will be a special place for you in heaven. Well, God bless you too, my friend. Jeff Depew, as a man that it won't be too much longer, but in the near future, just like COS has a YouTube channel. Hey, crazy old soldier, toss your YouTube channel link in the chat. I'll let people know you're there, man, so we can get you some more subscribers. And so Jeff Depew is going to get his own channel eventually, and I've already promised him 2 8-hour days back to back. I'll be preaching and teaching the word each day, all day, and constantly recommending his new channel to get his channel just a moving. And then Crazy Old Soldier's got a channel too. I've been listening to his stuff, and he's got a love for the Lord. I appreciate that. So, okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and go. I appreciate everybody. If I missed any super chats, I apologize. And I should be back, in theory, in about 11 hours, probably around 11 or 10 a.m. And I'm going to see how I feel. But yeah, right there is a Crazy Old Soldier's link. Go ahead and give him a subscription. I know he'll appreciate it, and I'll appreciate you supporting his channel. He's just started, but I know he's going to do great things for God. So, guys, I appreciate y'all being here, and never, ever forget that I love you. And on top of that, more importantly, never forget Country Carpenter and everybody else. Never forget that Jesus Christ is our great God.